Hey, yelling and screaming. NFL Week 6. Apologize for being a little late. I will own that. That is 100% mine. But me and Sean, we are always here on time, right on time.
That's right. That's right.
Sean, week
Whenever we
six.
start is
Week
whenever we
five
start
or
is when we're supposed to
six.
start. Week 5 was the most exciting week of football this season. Period. A lot of high scoring games. So it was really nice to see, what we were expecting to come from some of the teams that had higher powered offenses, and just what you want to see in some football. I'm assuming a lot of the rule changes were made to be geared towards offense in the game, so that's what we want to see. So kudos.
Well, I'll put you on the spot while I work on some of my notes. What was your
Mhm.
favorite moment of the week? Not necessarily a game, but is there like a football moment that stood out to you that means something that you would want to share with the viewers?
Well, I won't say not necessarily a single instance, but it happened a couple times this week. We had multiple blocked field goals, and
Yes.
that yeah. So for you guys out there who don't know, our friends are addicts when it comes to gambling, and they will gamble on anything. And one of the things that we do is if a field goal is missed, it's a shot. Blocked field goal counts as a miss, therefore it's a shot. So having multiple blocked field goals and impactful points in the game as well was, I mean, it was icing on the cake for the week. But really, it gave the love to special teams that people tend to forget. The NFL moved the field goal back for the extra point, to make it more significant to the game. The reason why they adjust the kickoff is to make it more significant to the game. So people write off kickers and special teams in many instances, but this week was just one of those great instances to show that they are important to the game. They are really, really important. They dictate field position, and on a play where you get field goals blocked or extra points blocked, and then even better if they get returned for some yards or a touchdown or whatever the 2 point try is. That's just another instance where you really start to appreciate all facets of the game. So that was it for me. How about yourself?
I think my favorite game of the weekend as an impartial fan. I watched more games this weekend with people than I usually do, trying to get out and see. I don't want to say this. I want to say I enjoyed the fact that defenses came to play. I enjoyed the fact that defenses were able to show out in a meaningful way. I think going as far back as Thursday with the Falcons and the Bucks, obviously 66 points scored in that game. That's an offensive blowout, right? But what finished that game was defense. Jets and Vikings. Okay. Injuries kind of dictated the way that game was played in England, but at the end of the day, defense showed out. The Vikings kind of come to a stop, and the defense shuts down Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and just kind of moves on. Mm-hmm. Bears and Panthers. Bears score 36 points. Panthers score 10, right? A Panthers offense that came out with their new quarterback and scored a whole bunch of points, held to almost nothing. I think for me, just that narrative, being able to watch football, and especially red zone, the way we watch red zone, it hits and it's scoring play and scoring play and scoring play. So being able to see a
lot of defensive highlights
comes down to the last possession, and a Bills Texans game that comes down to the last possession. I really enjoyed seeing the defensive play. So I don't know if I could name one. I know that's what I asked for. It's probably Dolphins Patriots. If
I would have probably gone with that Giants, with the Giants Seahawks, where driving down the field, ready to kick a 60-yard field goal to tie it up. Field goal gets blocked, returned for a touchdown. Boom, there you go. That closes out your game. Then suddenly it's a 9-point loss. Instead of tying the game there, just that impact right there, and the same thing with the
defense.
Yeah, Defense defense had very, very impactful plays this week, because I definitely can't say that the defense showed out in that we had we had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had, I think, 7 games at least where one, if not both teams scored 30 points. So I can't necessarily say the defense, but the defensive impact on the game, a lot of picks in really, really important places, fumbles in really, really important places, and not fumbles necessarily that were just like an offensive player making a mistake, but defensive players putting their head on the ball. Specifically, I'm not sure if you guys watched, but the Steelers game, where they, there's a guy flying over the line to get on a goal line stance, pops the ball out. That's on the 1 yard line, like that. Right there is why defense, really, really plays hard, and how they deserve a little more respect on some of those plays, especially in a goal line stand like that. So just a couple of impactful things like that really, really showed out this week.
Well, and that's what's nice about like a relatively small league, right? Like I love college football, but there's there's 70 teams that matter, and the NFL is half that, right? But like there's not a single team in the NFL most years that can't beat the best team in the NFL, and it comes down to the cadence of your plays and like how you treat the other team's defense. And it's like if you can string together 2 good series based on what you've seen, show up on defense one time, the worst team can beat the best team. Like NFL is that tight. And I know it's easy to be a fan, like a casual fan looking in and be like, well, the Patriots are the best team for 20 years. And then Tom Brady goes to the Bucs and they're the best team. And Patrick Mahomes is the best team. But the Chiefs and the Saints, that game was 6 plays. And that's what I really appreciate about the NFL is that like you could be the greatest team of all time. You could be the greatest team of a generation. You could be the greatest team of the year.
But it's a culmination of everything.
Plays away from losing.
Yep. Well, not just that. I mean, think about it. The Chiefs have won how many games off of, the Chiefs-Ravens game was decided by a toe touch. The Chiefs-Bengals game, like a lot of these games, even though they're they're 1 of 2 5-0 teams this year, and definitely considered to be the number 1 seed in that instance, with the Vikings being the other 5-0 team. I would say that like the parity of football in the NFL is so much closer. Some of those years where the Patriots were really dominant, and yet you still saw like the Dolphins come in on terrible seasons and get and beat the Patriots. So like things like that, like game planning, divisional matchups, game pace. You got teams that are run heavy versus pass heavy. Well, you get into a situation where you're up and your defense is playing well. You rely on that rush offense. So things like that really, really, really make the significance of game planning, injuries, and really any given Sunday. That make that much, much more prevalent in the NFL.
Truly, and it's meaningful in a way that we don't see in other sports. The NBA, the season's too damn long. The NHL, the season's too long. MLB, the season's too long. But the NFL, if you win 1 of 17, it changes the expectations in the division for your team, in the conference. You win 1 of 17 games that you shouldn't win, and all of a sudden everything moves, everything shifts. The Saints beat the Chiefs, and everything's different. You have a Broncos team that's hot. I get it. It's the Broncos, right? You have a Raiders team that has all the pieces but a quarterback. You got a Chargers team who's newly engaged in the run. If the Saints win that game, the AFC West is completely turned on its head until next week, right? I mean, it gives you a whole media cycle where it's like, oh, are the Chiefs finished? Is Patrick Mahomes cooked? But it's real. It's meaningful in a way where it's not like, oh, LeBron didn't play Tuesday and the Lakers lost. It doesn't matter. But if the Chiefs lose a game at home against what is conceivably a power team in the other conference, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's something that team has to deal with. And it's not like, we'll win the next game and sweep it under the rug. If they lose that next game, That's 2 out of 17. Like it amplifies in a way. That's what I love about the NFL is it's just like anything can happen. I truly believe anything can happen. And, at least in the last 10 years or so, our understanding of the NFL, there's a team that wins, but like there's so much minutia underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the 2 seed through the 6 seed is like, it's literally anybody.
Anybody up
And
in the
that's
air.
so cool. That's so cool as a sport, as a fan. Like,
I get that. I get that. I will have one statement that I'm going to make that I don't want to discuss or argue on this podcast, but I do not think that the NFL, the NBA or NHL seasons are too long because they get paid millions of dollars. They get paid millions of dollars. So if I can only afford to go to one game and that game is on a Tuesday in the middle of December, then guess what? But they better be fucking playing, and they better be playing as all the starters because I'm fine with that. I want the season to be as long as it can so that I can get as much out of it as I can as a fan. As a fan of the sport.
But if there's only 20 games and I guaranteed you that your favorite player is playing, that's not a problem.
It is a problem because that means that the tickets to those 20 games are going to cost me hundreds of dollars. I am good as somebody who grew up in Philadelphia in an impoverished area. I'm good if I'm a sports fan and I can afford a $25, $30, $40 ticket, $50 ticket. As going to an Eagles game in Philadelphia, good luck trying getting a ticket for less than $200. Right? So as a sports fan, being able to watch it on TV, great. Being able to have the environment, being present at the environment, even better. And if you can afford to do that, because the games aren't because each game's significance is less, but you still get that excitement and energy as a fan. That's what I would want to advocate for. That's why I don't have a problem.
But if $50 for a family of 4 is a big deal, and that's totally fair, right? Because it's not just the game tickets; it's
parking, it's food, it's everything,
yada yada yada, whatever, right? But if your favorite player isn't playing that game, that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
In the NFL or the NBA,
it either has to be on the league or your favorite player. There's nowhere else to place that blame.
I mean, coach's decision also exists. He's got to play them. Coaches got to choose to play them.
Coaches in the NBA are like coaches in college football. They don't even matter. R.I.P. Robert Saleh. R.I.P. Robert Saleh.
Yeah, we haven't get a chance to get to that one there. Yeah, they scapegoated the hell out of him. I mean, don't worry. He'll end up with a job somewhere else.
His hairline worse than mine. All right. NFL Week 6, Thursday night football. San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks. This line is Niners minus 3.5 on the road. What do you got, Sean?
So honestly, this week, the Seahawks played really, really smart football. I really like their receivers. I think they're probably the smartest receivers in the league because every time their quarterback moves, they're pulling their defenders away. They're constantly faking guys out on the back end, the D-backs, making them think the ball's coming and allowing their quarterback to get down the field. So I love that play from them. I think the San Francisco is going to need more than Ayuk and Kittle to win. Like, you can't just rely on those two guys. Mason played pretty decently. The fumble, obviously, impactful. But, they're going to need more than that. Jawan Jennings seemed like he was going to be an impactful player at that 1 week where he had a monster week, and now he looks like he's back to where he was before. So, really, you've got to incorporate him. And Debo's dead.
Yeah, I have no counter argument to that.
No, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with San Francisco as far as Purdy's either the play calls or there's an issue with his reads because I feel like he's just not hitting he's not stretching the field or spreading the field as he's done in previous years.
So, would you say that he looked pretty bad?
Oh God, that's a shot. Really bad jokes, cringy jokes, shot.
I feel like I do this every week, but I want everyone to close their eyes. And I want you to picture a New England Patriots Tom Brady team with a running back you've never heard of and a defense that holds their division mates to 17 points a game with DK Metcalf running posts because that team wins 9 Super Bowls. DK Metcalf has been, continues to show, and probably will be until he hangs it up, one of the most forceful possession receivers of all time.
Okay.
He is
up
like
there
Wes
with Megatron.
Welker if Wes Welker was Bane.
Okay.
The dude is jacked. He is huge.
He's Wes Welker in Megatron's body.
Well, his knowledge of the 1 through 6 routes is untouchable. And you send Lockett on a 9 over the top of him, DK Metcalf's catching that ball. And the only problem that DK Metcalf has always had, whether it was Russell Wilson or whatever mixture of other quarterbacks he's had, is they throw the out route at 8 yards instead of 10. DK Metcalf, for me, is like a big Marvin Harrison. This dude is a phenomenal route runner. He's got great hands. His situational understanding of the game is second to none. I mean, if you give me like 10 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown for DK, you're probably taking that more times than you're not. And it speaks to his game, and it speaks to the way the Seahawks offense has been built. And I'm not sure it's enough to win the West. But God, it's cool to watch. It's a lot of fun to watch them move their way down the field. They're not a great red zone team, but knowing that like you have Lockett open on a deep slant or a 9 route, and that means Metcalf is open for everything else underneath. It's really, really cool to watch. I think it's done really cool things for the running game there. It's done really cool things for a quarterback that maybe shouldn't be in the NFL anymore, quite frankly. But DK Metcalf for me is one of those guys. I really like watching Brandon Marshall. Marshall's ability to understand game situation was way higher than his skill level. And he was a good wide receiver. But I feel like DK is in the same place. Like DK is such a better asset than he is a wide receiver. And he's not a bad wide receiver. So for me as a fan, it's really, really cool to watch Seahawks games because watching DK find the holes in a defense like over a series, like over 3 routes, like he'll run an out route and not be open, and then he'll run like a easy flag and not be open, and then like boom, like he's open on a deep cross because he knows the progressions. It's a really, really cool way to watch football. I really appreciate DK Metcalf for how he approaches the game.
Oh, yeah. Astute analysis, Rick. I've never heard you speak so highly of any player. So I appreciate that. I honestly think
Ferguson is the best player of all time.
Oh, good Lord. No, in all honesty, though, I think that San Francisco's in trouble. I honestly would take Seattle in this game. Seattle at home. And I feel like I think they're figuring it out a little more than San Francisco is. So I would take them in this game. San Fran's got a lot of work to do.
Well, bro, 3 weeks in a row. I mean, we've had NFC West games where these lines are all traps. If you're a sports bettor and you think you know the NFC West, you're a liar. You're an idiot. Give me Seahawks money line. They win this outright. I don't trust this entire division. They could all make the playoffs. They could all win 3 games. It's like I just don't know.
That's fair. All right.
Hey, we got a London game this week, Sean. Again. We're going back over the pond, as the kids in London say.
Oh my goodness.
This is a big one. This is a big one.
This is a big game for both teams. For Chicago, it really will cement that they're here if they take this win. And for the Jaguars, it basically lets us know whether or not they're tanking because it just doesn't look good. I mean, this week they didn't run behind their own. They finally got, they finally were able to to close it out and get the win over the Colts. Which I mean, the Colts were battered. They didn't have Richardson in there, who really hasn't been doing very much this season anyway. But at least he's their leader.
Don't disrespect Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco might be the smartest quarterback in the NFL. He is
the greatest backup quarterback of all time.
About to be the greatest backup quarterback. Actually, that's going to be probably Jeff Garcia, but I digress. Jeff Garcia, or maybe Nick Foles just coming in, Big Dick Nick, and winning the Super Bowl. But I digress. They finally got a win over a battered Colts team, where they had to score 37, which is crazy. And it didn't tell me anything about the Jaguars other than they got to beat up on a battered Colts team. So I'm not expecting anything from them. I think the Bears defense is strong enough to hold them a lot better than the Colts defense is. Now playing and they didn't run behind Etienne either. So I'm like, what is this team doing? Like, where are they going? I have no idea what the Jags are working on and how they're going to get this season figured out. But the Bears look like they're moving in the right direction.
I've been working on this in my head. It's not going to hit, so I'm gonna let it go, I think. But Travis Etienne, it's more like extra time, not. The Bears are going to win the first quarter. The Bears are going to win the first half. The Jaguars are going to be put right where they deserve to be. Tank Bigsby, 100 yards rushing, no touchdown. Bears win by 3 scores.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Jaguars are just looking. Well, the Jaguars are just looking for a reason to move to London anyway. So here you go. Just stay there. If they win this game,
take the Bears with
then it's a home game.
The Jags and the Bears should both move to London. Give us a new team in Chicago.
Oh, good Lord.
Speaking of teams, win or go home. Washington Commanders, Baltimore Ravens. This is the Battle of Maryland. I think that's what the kids call it.
I think this is going to be probably, in my opinion, looking at the schedule, this is probably going to be my game of the week.
Game of the week?
I would have probably said the Cowboys Colts, but not Cowboys Lions. But realistically, the Cowboys are just in too much turmoil. Washington looks like a team that's put together well. Cliff Kingsbury has that offense clicking right now. The Ravens get a win after making so many mistakes that I honestly thought that the NFL was scripted at that point. Like, it just baffles me how many things went wrong for them, and they were still able to get the win here. Maybe luck's just on their side. But the fact that the line here is Ravens 6 and 6.
If Andrew Luck was on their side, they'd be better than they are.
Oh my goodness. But the fact that the line here is Ravens 6.5 does not really seem real to me. Crazy. That's crazy.
Lamar
that's insane.
Jackson sucks.
Well, with the 4-1 Commanders team, like, that's just disrespect. Like, they've been playing. Like, yes, this was the first game that Jaden Daniels throws an interception. But I mean, the man has been consistent, super consistent, and at the end of the day, like, you're going to take the team who's got the less losses. Ravens couldn't figure out how to get the wins in 2 of those games early on in the season. They've been putting the ball in Derrick Henry's hands, but Brian Robinson's not nothing to sneeze at. And so both of these offenses, I think, are going to look probably very similar to each other. It really is going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes.
We only have about 50 normal viewers. I just want to point out that none of the 50 of y'all could show me where Baltimore is on a map. They are second-class citizens in their own state.
Ooh.
Baltimore sucks. 6.5 is insane. Insane. That would be a bad line against the FedEx Field dirt mob Redskins. This is the Washington Commanders with maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. And you're going to give me your bad running quarterback who can't close out a game without the ref's help? Give me Commanders. Give me plus 6.5. Give me Lamar under 200 passing yards. This is the Commanders coming out party. They will win the state of Maryland. I think you win the state of Virginia by default. This is it. There's no coming back from this.
Trying to take the DMV, the whole
The
DMV.
Ravens will not win their division. The Commanders will. And it starts right here.
Well, I just got one thing to counter by Rick. I actually really enjoyed Baltimore. Shout out to the Inner Harbor. Shout out to Camden Yards. Beautiful place. Lots of culture. Good seafood. But and the Wire. But I digress. Yeah, I honestly see this as a Commanders win. They just seem like they're clicking right now, and Baltimore has had to do a lot more work in order to get these wins for themselves. So they're still grinding. Now, really, I think that the two most impactful things for this game are going to be total rushing yards, but more importantly, QB rushing yards. We'll see we'll see how Rick talked about the Lamar Jackson under 200 yards passing, but if he throws for 185 but then rushes for 150 yards, then it doesn't matter. So really, I'm just looking at how are the Commanders are going to play against a very, very, very strong Baltimore rushing offense, and then vice versa, how Baltimore secondary is going to handle a very clean game that Jaden Daniels is expecting to put out there. And don't knock, Brian Robinson is also great running back, and Jaden Daniels really makes that offense, any instance he can take off. So I really think this is going to be the game of the week. I think this is going to be a very, very strong game, and it's in the morning too. So make sure you get up and watch it.
What's this hurricane going to do? I haven't seen the weather pattern. But like if this comes down to Jaden Daniels against Lamar Jackson as a rushing quarterback, the Redskins win this game by 14 points. Jaden Daniels is a better rushing quarterback than Lamar Jackson is. That's just end of story for me. Like
for anybody out there who's listening, the way that Rick spoke about DK Metcalf is the exact opposite of how he feels about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson can't run routes for shit. I believe that's true.
I mean, he is a running back. What are you talking about? He's not supposed to have to run routes. He does what he does. He wins MVPs.
He's like a fancy Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
You heard me. Hey, Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay Packers. This line is somehow Packers -5. Sean, help me with this. Is Malik Willis starting? Is that why the Packers are a favorite?
No. The reason why they have the line like this is probably because Arizona is still 108 degrees, and they think that Kyler Murray is anticipating, and they think that Kyler Murray is anticipating the coming out of the new Call of Duty, so he's going to be distracted. It's only a couple weeks away.
We got two weeks left before Call of Duty. Packers lose this game. Ain't no Call of Duty. The Packers suck. Malik Willis is the best quarterback on this Packers roster. And, they got good wide receivers. No, they drafted 3 tight ends in the last draft. The Packers suck. Packers are really, really bad. Their running game looks good. The running game is – Josh Jacobs is a monster. If you give Josh Jacobs 30 carries – the Packers win this game. But, Sean, I hate to break it to you. Josh Jacobs is not getting 30 carries, and the Packers are going to lose to the Cardinals.
You know what? I'd like to see that. In all honesty, I mean, shout out to the Cardinals for going up to Green Bay, and I think they're going to put some hands on Green Bay. I think that both of these teams had a bounce back week. Where after the loss for Green Bay, they had to come out and show that they're that they're the team to beat in that division, which they're not. But they I think that they feel they are the young team. And then the same thing, the Cardinals getting that win over. Caleb Williams does not make the team. Doesn't just make the team young. All right. But the Cardinals getting that win against the Niners really, really cemented themselves as like a contender in that division. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick Green Bay to take the L in this game. I think that they'll probably. I mean, I don't think they're gonna cover the spread though.
If the Cardinals win, they cover the spread. It's +5.
+5, yeah. What's the? Yeah, I don't know what what's the over under on this game.
I'll find it if you want to talk about something else.
Nah. And I mean, under 50. Probably 50.
Oh, yeah. It's probably like 43 and a half. If I had to guess.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, we can move on from this. I mean, there's nothing else.
I'm almost there now. We got totals. Hold on. I didn't expect
No
you to
worries.
ask
No
about
worries. No
totals.
worries. No worries. Well, I think the most impactful thing for this game is obviously going to be the running game. You know, you need James Conner to really put up some numbers and play strong. And obviously Josh Jacobs is great. I think the most impactful thing will be the tight end play. I think that if Trey McBride can actually be a force in this game and actually get some receptions and force that offense, force the defense to respond and stack up the box a little bit more, it opens up the field for Kyler to get the ball down the field a little bit more. So I think that'll probably be something that we'd like to see. But him tight to the line will also help blocking for James Conner. So it just depends on Kyler if Kyler's able to hit him.
49 and a half. Give me the over all day. There's 60 points in this game.
I see it. All right.
42-27 Cardinals.
42-27 Cardinals is ridiculous.
Like a pick six late. Like it's like a one-score game, and the backup quarterback for the Packers, Jordan Love, throws a pick six at the end.
Oh, good Lord. All that. You heard it here first.
Jordan Love is trash.
100%. Jordan Love throws off his back foot, and that's all he knows how to do. I've never seen somebody throw off their back foot so much and be an NFL quarterback. Every single throw off the back foot.
Speaking of bad quarterbacks, and the two teams that are the worst in the Eastern time zone, I know that Houston is in Central Time, but they're honorary Eastern time zone team because they're trash. Texans, Patriots. This game is somehow Texans like 7, 6.5. I am not convinced that the Texans are that good. I could be convinced if you said 6.5, 7, and told me the Patriots are that bad, I could buy into that argument. If you tell me that the Texans are 6.5, 7 points better, I would not buy into that, if that makes sense. Like, this Texans team has looked lost. They've looked not great. They have looked like they have Caleb Williams at quarterback. This team is not 7 points better than the Patriots. If that makes sense to our listeners, the Patriots are 7 points worse than the Texans. The Texans are not 7 points better than the Patriots.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that.
In my mind,
I know exactly what you mean, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that.
Give me +7, and I'll let you give your analysis.
You can take your +7. You can shove it. All right. Let's be real. If Nico Collins doesn't go out in this game, it's a different game. You know that's his favorite receiver. You know that is C.J. Stroud's favorite receiver. You know that he's a possession guy, and he's a guy that's very reliable. The fact that he goes down in this game after already having a huge impact on the game just goes to show that he's very, very important for that team. And I think that the issue for the Texans is their rush offense. Their rush offense has not been what they were expecting to get from it this year. They brought in. They're all hurt.
The guys don't want to play.
Look, you bring in the receivers. You bring in the receiver to bolster the offense. You bring in another running back, and you expect that the team is going to do better. And what happened? Nothing. I like Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce before
this is Cam Akers and a guy with dreads. You're not going to win games.
I liked Dameon Pierce when he was there. I don't know why they decided to change the run offense, because I thought that he would have had another year. Bringing in Joe Mixon, and it's just not.
Their best running back is a Badger. Agumbawale is the best running back. He's taking steps.
He is. He is the best running back right now.
Cam Akers is getting red zone touches. Mm-hmm. Cam Akers sucks. But the problem is also that Joe Mixon is not incentivized to play.
Yeah. Well, but my thing is this, right? Their offense is a good offense if their rush was better. But they're still a 4-1 team, and their only loss, granted it was a blowout, their only loss is to the one of two 5-0 teams. So, I mean, can you really say that they're bad? And they're about to play against a Patriots team which is not built to win games at this point. I mean, you can't just. I don't know who the quarterback is going to be this week, but I'm assuming it's going to be Drake May. There's no point in bringing Jacoby Brissett back out there.
I don't know.
There's really no fucking point. It should be Drake May. It just doesn't make any sense to bring Jacoby Brissett out there.
I don't know what Mayo's doing.
Trying to evaluate again. I made this argument earlier this season, and I'm not sure if our viewers recall that. But when you're a rookie coach, and you have a rookie quarterback, there's two ways to look at it. You can either let him sit behind a more experienced quarterback, learn the offense, don't destroy his confidence, and just starting him, knowing that the team is bad. But as a head coach, your job is also to win games. So are you putting your team in the best situation to win games now? Or are you looking at developing and building that player up to be able to win games in the future once you have some more weapons around him and actually have the team built out based on his skill set? That's a tough call for a rookie head coach. It really is. And Mayo is a defensive-minded head coach. It's not even like he was going to be this offensive genius, and Jacoby Brissett is not a talented quarterback. He's not a talented quarterback. He just knows the Bill Belichick system, but he's not a talented quarterback. So I mean, yeah, if he's still working off of some of Belichick's plays, then I guess it makes sense why you're comfortable with him. But he's fucking trash. He's absolutely terrible. Go get Joe Flacco. Go grab one of these second string quarterbacks that can actually make a play.
I struggle with. All right, hold on. Let me reset because this is a charged topic. I want to make sure I do it justice. The Rooney Rule is bullshit. I love the idea of minorities who actually played football getting coaching opportunities in the NFL. My problem with Mayo is that he didn't coach at all in the NFL. I think he was a defensive quality assurance guy with the Patriots, which is the fancy way of saying paid intern. That's fine. I like the way he approached the season. I like the way he approached the team. I like the way he thinks about the defensive side of the ball. I do like the hires he made on offense. But now, 5-6 games into the season, with an ineffectual quarterback, with a rookie quarterback that most people wouldn't have drafted, period.
Which he's not responsible for at all.
Understood. But an offense where your feature piece is Ramondre Stevenson, who twice in his career couldn't win the starting job on his own team. I wish there was a better system for getting these guys time in the NFL that was meaningful. Because I don't think Gerard Mayo is a bad coach. I think Gerard Mayo is in a really, really shitty situation.
Yep.
And whether you give him 1 year or 2 years or 5 years, I'm not sure there's enough organizational capital left for the Patriots to dig out of that. And it's not all their own fault, right? Like the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in that division this year.
Yeah.
So what pick do the Patriots get? Is it 10? Is it 12? There's not a quarterback there. There's not an impact wide receiver there. So, right, you build the way you're supposed to build, right? You take your offensive linemen, you take your interior guys. But this Patriots team is completely depleted of talent. They have no wide receivers. They have Ramondre Stevenson at running back. They have maybe Drake May at quarterback. I hate that Bill Belichick walks away and Gerard Mayo, who is like this awesome hire for me, right? He was a cool player. He's a good guy. He's going about things the right way. If Gerard Mayo exits the NFL 3 years from now with 10 wins and 30 losses, are you shocked? You'll never get another job. And none of it will be his fault. This team sucks.
It does. It does, but and isn't that the same situation that that ended up happening in Carolina? So if you're looking at Carolina, if you're Gerard Mayo, I'm taking the year. I'm just going to take the year. I'm going to take the year. I'm going to figure out what guys in my system are going to be beneficial guys moving forward, and I'm going to get as many wins as I can. But realistically, I'm going to take this year to actually assess the team. I hope that that's what ownership and that's what Kraft is seeing in this and saying, this team is not built to win right now. We know this. The evidence is staring us in the face. But if we can take this year and we can assess where we have assets on this team and keep those assets and get some other guys in there that can be more impactful in some of those positions where we have weakness, I think that's what you need to do. It is unfortunate that their team is not good overall. It's unfortunate they don't have great wide receivers. It is unfortunate that they don't have a great secondary. It is unfortunate that they don't have X, Y, that Ramondre Stevenson is the only offensive weapon that you have. I put weapon in quotations, but really he's their workhorse. He's Christian McCaffrey with nothing else. He's just the guy who you're going to throw the ball to.
Howitzer. It hits something.
Oh goodness. But at the end of the day, like if you're Mayo, you got to take this year. You just got to stick through it. Don't get discouraged. I'm sure that he understands that it's a building process, and I would be excited to see what he can come up with next year once he's got a year under his belt. But I'm taking the Texans in this, and I'm taking the Texans -7.
I've got Drake May with more passing touchdowns than starts.
The only reason why I have a problem with that is because if he comes in at all, it'll be garbage time. So slinging. I'll let you take.
But to who? Name a Patriots wide receiver.
I don't have to name a wide receiver. He's just going to throw it to Ramondre Stevenson.
Stevenson don't catch. I'm in a 20-team fucking fantasy league. I can't name a Patriots wide receiver.
I can't either.
I don't just say Williams.
Just say Williams. It's
not Hunter Henry because
he was probably a guy
penalties for a different team.
It's probably a guy whose last name is Williams. Just default him to a Williams. Makes life a lot easier.
Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up. Because I think it's worth the time. The Patriots starting wide receivers are
Demario Douglas,
Jalen Polk.
Yep.
Jalen. Right, we talked about him. Jalen. KJ Osborne, Demario Douglas, with Kendrick Bourne behind them. Oh, it was Hunter Henry. Yeah. Hunter Henry had like 2 holding penalties in this game. Austin Hooper. They have 2 better known tight ends for their holding penalties than they have any other player on the whole friggin' roster. Jermichael Hasty, this team sucks. This team is atrocious.
It is not built to win. At the end of the day, this team is just not built to win. And also, Rick, for context, Ramondre Stevenson ended up with 89 rushing yards and a touchdown, and also had 4 receptions. Now, granted, his 4 receptions were only for 3 yards, but he did have 89 yards and a touchdown.
Keeping me alive. He's the only thing keeping me alive in fantasy. My team is so bad this year. I make the Patriots look good.
He's doing what he can. He can only do so much. But anyway, we've spent way too much time talking about the Patriots.
Oh, we certainly have. But hey, fade the Patriots. I think we both have Texans -7. This is going to be a blowout.
It should be
Bucks and Saints. Derek Carr goes down hurt, oblique injury. He was only 30 yards shy of my prop bet for the night. That was kind of hard to swallow because, man, you know what? Derek Carr is still a serviceable NFL quarterback. Unclear if he starts in this game. I am not sure it matters. This opened Saints 2.5. It moved all the way to Bucks 2.5. Essentially immediately on open because the Carr news broke kind of late. For me, the Bucks have looked really, really good this year. Obviously, losing to the Broncos sucks, but they're winning the Super Bowl. So it's hard to really
Oh my
count
goodness.
you down too much for losing to the future Super Bowl
Super
champions. But
Bowl. Super
the
Bowl.
wide receivers and the running backs for the Saints look not great. I don't know how much of that is game flow, because obviously you scored 40 points a game first, 2.5 games. So they're there. But for me, this Bucks team is built on a floor that is like 20 points a game. And I think if Baker can just do what Baker does and get this team 2 touchdowns in the first half and a field goal before halftime, I think it's probably enough to hold off the Saints, just kind of the way they're constructed right now.
The loss to Denver was unfortunate, but I mean, without that and without an overtime performance from Atlanta, 500 yards from Kirk Cousins, the Bucks are looking at a 4-1 season. And I mean, against Philly, Baker threw for almost 350. If Baker throws for over 250 yards, he wins. So I think that's his threshold. Granted, one of his wins this season was below 250, but he was also the lead rusher in that game too, against Detroit. So I mean, realistically, if you're looking, Irving's going to have a better game. I think that he's going to have a better game. And then realistically, but if Baker throws for over 250, they should get the win. New Orleans
minus 2.5. What you got?
Yeah, I can see that.
Lay it.
Yeah.
All right. Browns Eagles. AJ might be back. This line is Eagles 8.5, which
Jesus Christ,
which feels excessive. Even if AJ Brown is back, you have to assume he's limited. The Browns suck. We've talked about a lot about how the Browns are bad on this show. But the Eagles, we haven't talked a lot about how the Eagles are good on this show. I think this is a lot closer than 8.5. I will never bet Browns plus 8.5. But I'd be really, really interested in like a Eagles like team total, like under 350 yards. This has like 17-13 written all over it to me. This is like a game where the Browns score on defense and like the Eagles win late.
I've got the exact opposite feel for that. As someone who grew up in Philadelphia and watched them play after the bye weeks, the Eagles are significantly a better team after their bye week. They have the earliest bye, and it actually in this instance is going to help them more than hurt them, because after the bye you got Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars, Cowboys. So realistically, I mean, the Bengals are a team that puts up a lot of points, but other than that, Browns, no. Giants, no. Jaguars, no. So if you can come out strong right now and go into a Cowboys, Commanders, get at least 1 or 2 divisional wins there, then suddenly we're talking about the Eagles being back up there as far as one of those potential Super Bowl contenders. So I really think that the early bye week for the Eagles is going to be only been able to help them, especially with some of the injuries, especially with getting AJ back. And then now I think that they figured out the formula for making sure that Saquon gets the ball early. There's every time we talk about what the Eagles did wrong, it's always Saquon didn't get the ball. Right. And they've had a history of having strong running backs in Philadelphia. Shady McCoy, Brian Westbrook, Deuce Staley. The list goes on of the guys that they've had. They've had potent rush offenses historically. So to take a guy that you know is going to be is a premier back in the NFL, who has in the games that he's played and gotten the carries that he's gotten really performed well. It's the same thing with Baltimore. Why are you not feeding this guy the ball? Why is it that he gets 2 carries in the first quarter? Why is he not touching the ball until 7 minutes and 8 minutes into the game? Like, that's insane. This guy needs to be the guy that you're pushing off of, especially in getting the new center comfortable and losing a Hall of Fame caliber center in Jason Kelce. You want to make sure that your center knows and understands what his job is. Then you feed the rock and let him block. Feed the rock and let him block.
So, Sean, we've done a really bad job tracking our bets on this show. I want to ask our audience to keep us accountable, but I want to put 3 bets on this game. Shot bets.
Okay.
1 shot per.
Okay.
So
let's hear it. Throw the bets.
You let me know if you want them.
If we accept the bets, throw them in the chat. Throw the bets in the chat so that the viewers can actually see the bets as well, and then we can record them afterwards. And that way we're being held accountable by not just ourselves but also our viewers.
All right. I have Browns plus 8.5.
Okay, I can see that.
So you don't want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm not going to take that one. I don't think I got the Eagles. I got the Eagles to win. You got Browns plus 8.5.
I got the Browns plus 8.5.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
I got under 45 total points.
I won't take that one.
Okay. I have Jalen Hurts under 8.5 rushing yards.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely taking that one.
I like it.
As long as Hurts plays.
Put it in the chat right now.
Throw it in the chat
right now.
Throw it in the chat, baby.
Hopefully we remember this shit.
We don't have to.
For me, it's the Eagles. For me, it's the Eagles. I think they win tight. I think they're still the better team. The Browns have a lot of issues, but the Eagles aren't like this be-all, end-all in the East like they have been for the past couple seasons. So I think it's tight. A.J. Brown, if he's back, is worth a couple points on his own.
A healthy Eagles secondary is going to be the most important thing in the game, realistically, because at the end of the day, their defensive line and linebacker play is still some of the top tier in the NFL. But if the secondary can't hold anybody, then it doesn't do you any good. You know, you got injuries, and you got some guys that have swapped in and out there, guys that left and came back, and so you really need to make sure that you got consistent play in the secondary in order to be one of the perennial powerhouse teams in the NFL. So I think that's really going to be the telling thing for the Eagles is their secondary, and then we'll see. I mean, realistically, I think the linebacker core is going to have the toughest time for the Browns because you still have a potent rushing offense, and you've got to be able to deal with good tight end play from really good tight end play and receiver play from the Eagles. So that's really my thing. They have very skilled skill players. They have very, very talented skill players. And if they can get their offense going and be able to force the Browns back on their heels and get them biting on some play actions, that's the game.
And I think that tight end play is really important because if you get down to the Browns, you can just kind of put a massage table up and advertise those tight ends, and that might do it. That might do it for the Browns. Titans and Colts. This game is a pick-em-ish. It's Tuesday night. If you're watching this live, which no one is right now, it's -1. This game's going to close pick-em. Gun to your head, who wins this game? Just straight answer, Titans or Colts?
I'm saying Colts if we get a couple of guys playing.
Titans.
You got Titans?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Shot. Let's do it. Shot.
All right, so now give me some color.
Oh, I mean, the Colts having a bounce back game. Richardson plays. That's really my only thing. I have no faith in Will Levis. I have no faith in Tennessee at all.
What? The mayonnaise, brother. The mayonnaise.
My goodness. I have zero faith in Will Levis.
He's looked better recently than he did in the beginning of the year. That's an objective fact.
That is the most vague response. Yeah, you're right. He has looked better. And when he beat are you referring to when they beat the fucking Miami Dolphins?
I'm in commercials where he has mayonnaise and coffee.
His commercial, gotcha. He looks really good in those.
I haven't seen any Titans games.
And those best Fields commercials. Yeah, there's no reason to watch a Titans game. It's a waste of time. Look, at the end of the day, the Dolphins are going to be the worst team in the NFL, if not the second worst team in the NFL this year. And they lost 24. Tennessee lost 24-17, 24-17, 30-14, and their only win is against a terrible Dolphins team. So against a team that has any chance of winning, of actually playing defense against them, they've only scored 17 points.
I think the issue here is that Flacco's really not a long-term answer. Great quarterback, great fill-in quarterback. I don't really have anything bad to say about Flacco, but if you don't have your real offense on the field, eventually it's going to catch up to you. It's probably not this week. It's probably not against a depleted Titans team with no weapons, no spears.
No, nothing.
It's probably not this week, but like at some point, not being able to field a real NFL offense is going to cost you. It's not this week realistically. I know I picked the Titans, but
he just likes taking shots.
The Colts are better. The Colts are
a better team overall. They are a better team overall. They've got a couple of guys on offense. I mean, obviously they've got a significantly better running back. And they're
but even if he doesn't play, they're probably still better. On the run.
Oh, Trey Sermon's a better running back than whoever they have. What do they have? Tony Pollard in Tennessee? Yeah, Trey Sermon's a better running back than him. That's it. I think that the Colts rush offense is going to pound Tennessee in this instance. I just don't see them really having any answer for him. And if Richardson doesn't come back and they've game planned for Flacco all week, then it's an easy win because he's got the pedigree and the experience to know who to throw the ball to. He's not going to rely at all on athleticism. He's going to rely solely on his smarts. The man has already won a Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing back there at quarterback. Obviously, he had one winning comeback player of the year last year. Wasn't a fluke, and we can see that he still knows how to play. So if it's game plan for Flacco, they're definitely going to win. If it's Richardson, they're probably going to win.
Yeah, I don't. I think that the hesitation I have with the Colts is more long term.
Yeah,
I really don't think it's this game. All the jokes aside, that like the Titans are really bad. If Flacco's the guy, Alec Pierce is probably going to have 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns.
He loves that guy.
Flacco gets in trouble, but Flacco in trouble is probably one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Not Flacco, hear what I'm saying.
But Flacco in trouble.
Flacco in trouble is probably one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Alec Pierce is going to just get hit. So, like, the Titans are actually better served to not blitz. Because if they give Flacco time, I think he's a worse quarterback than if they pressure him.
I mean, that's the same thing for Richardson, right? He can throw a 60-yard bomb down the field, but he can't throw a 10-yard out. Can't throw a drag. So, like, I think that it's going to be I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. This is definitely going to be a low-scoring game.
Sean, the Denver Broncos are 3-0 in their last 3 games. A lot of people, not us, but a lot of analysts, a lot of podcasters are saying Super Bowl or bust. Are the Broncos the best team in the AFC West?
Not by a fucking long shot. Let's be real about this. 3 wins against beating the Raiders as a divisional team, in a divisional game.
Keep going. Raiders.
Oh, go ahead. List them off. List off the
Raiders,
teams.
Jets, Bucks, Baker Mayfield, dark horse MVP. Okay. The New York Jets, Bill Belichick.
Don't say. Hold on. Do not say the New York Jets as if that fucking means something. All right. Don't say the whole name like it means something. They just fired their head coach right now.
Packers fans have thought that Aaron Rodgers has been good for nearly 2 decades.
The Jets just fired their head coach.
The Packers fans, right, Sean?
The Jets just fired their head coach today. Do not say their name out loud as if it means
Aaron Rodgers.
He's not their head coach. He's their ayahuasca guide. What are you talking about?
Bo Nix is the 3rd coming of John Elway, the 2nd coming of Tim Tebow, the 4th coming of Joe Montana. The Broncos might be the best team in the entire AFC, and they're going to do it without scoring any points on offense.
You should throw that in the. I want you to put that in the. That's a shot. Put that in the. Put that in the chat. Put it. Put us. Do it.
Bro, all day long. Broncos to win the West.
Oh, you're wild. Go ahead. Put that in there. I'll take that one any day.
Broncos to win the West. Patrick Mahomes looks like shit. Bo Nix is going to accidentally find himself in a home playoff game divisional weekend. And they're going to get clapped by like the Bills. But they're going to be there. They're going to be there. They're going to throwback oranges. Bo Nix is going to have 72 passing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
As a Raiders fan, any games in this division are always going to have my eye. And realistically, this game has my eye, but not by very much because the Raiders just don't look like a strong team. They got too much turmoil going on. We'll get into that after this. But let's be clear here. The Chargers are a better team than the Broncos when they're healthy. The problem with the Chargers is that they got one of the best linebackers in the league who hasn't been able to play. They've got one of the better offensive tackles in the league. And Joe Alt, I like Joe Alt. I think he's a very, very, very skilled player.
Objectively
no, not objectively good. Same thing with Joey Bosa. Objectively good. You know, they've got some guys who are. You don't think Joey Bosa is objectively good? You don't think he's?
I'm going on record. Fuck Ohio State.
Oh goodness. All right, fair enough. I mean, I can't argue with you there. But I'm gonna go. You know, I agree with that statement. But what I will say is that I think Joey Bosa is objectively good as a defensive player, and so to have your defensive leader, and you know and one of the better offensive tackles in the league, and a rookie, and I won't call him a rookie head coach, but a rookie head coach, you know, and be 2-2.
No,
coming out of the bye.
No,
let me finish. Let me finish. And be 2-2 coming out of the bye. They have a lot of upside potential here, especially with Herbert no longer listed on the injury list. Looks like he's going to be healthy this week, so they should they should have a stronger defense, and they'll have their guy back behind center at full strength, actually putting the ball where it needs to be. I take the Chargers in this game. I know you're going to take the Broncos.
I don't even actually like the Broncos. Let's not fucking pretend like they have a rookie head coach. This is the head coach who made half of the world stand on their head and think that Colin Kaepernick was good at football. Colin Kaepernick is a bad version of Patrick Willis. Malik Willis. God damn it. I had a good argument.
The rant went too far. The rant went too far, and your argument was terrible because Colin Kaepernick is a significant better quarterback.
Rated quarterbacks in the history of the league. Colin Kaepernick.
I disagree with that.
With Brock Purdy. They're the same fucking guy. They suck. He's not a rookie head coach. He shouldn't be afforded any benefit of the doubt. The Chargers have been good. The Chargers' rush offense and the Chargers' defense have both been very, very good. This rookie head coach has turned what should be a top 15 receiver core into Josh Palmer not even playing. The Chargers are ass. Part of the reason they're ass is their rookie head coach. Their quarterback's no good. He's the worst in his draft class.
Herbert's the worst in his draft class?
A lot to be desired. Yeah, we are absolutely worst in his draft class. Mitchell Trubisky.
You guys heard it here first. I can't tell if Rick is yelling or screaming, but my insides are boiling right now.
Anyway, it's not a rookie head coach. He gets no benefit of being a first-year head coach in this system. This is his system. This is his cheating-ass assistants from Michigan. This Chargers team is not a first-year coached team. There's also really no new parts. They do have a new running back.
They have none of the same receivers. All of them are gone.
All the good ones left. But all the ones that they drafted in the last 5 years, Josh Palmer sucks. Joshua. He goes by Joshua. I apologize.
Rick, I just want to make one quick statement here. So you said that Colin Kaepernick is overrated and that you could plug and play him with any other quarterback in the NFL. So
not any other quarterback in the
many
NFL.
quarterbacks in the NFL.
Any other quarterback in the Niners have had since Steve Young.
Any quarterback that they've had since Steve Young. Any of them?
Yep, they're all the same.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
All the same guy.
Okay.
I'll go one step further. Bo Nix
is a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick after winning 3 games.
No. Bo Nix will have more rushing touchdowns than Colin Kaepernick's best season this year.
Interesting. I have to see what that line is then.
I don't know how many he had in his best year, but
we're going to call that out.
Better running quarterback.
We're going to call it out. Joe, so the point I wanted to make is for context, only 65 quarterbacks throughout the entire history of the NFL, which has had 55 Super Bowls. I can't remember how many Super Bowls it is. But only 65 quarterbacks total have played in Super Bowl. So some of those guys played in multiple Super Bowls, yada, yada, yada. So Colin Kaepernick is one of them. He's on a short list of 65 people.
Okay. Did he win?
Did
he win? I can't remember.
Neither did Jim Kelly or Dan Marino. Are they bad? Are they quarterbacks?
Jim Kelly? How many times did Jim Kelly lose? He sucks too.
He lost 4 times in a row. 4 times in a row.
It's a bad look.
It is.
Shout out to Josh. Shout out to my buddy Josh. Fuck the Bills.
I can tell you right now that the short list is still pretty damn short, even if you lose. All right, making it to the Super Bowl is tough enough, let alone winning the Super Bowl. So I'm going to give Colin Kaepernick credit where credit is due and say that he was a good NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he was the best NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he was a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was a good NFL quarterback. He was an effective quarterback. I think he was better than Jimmy Garoppolo was.
Real NFL quarterbacks don't get blackballed from the league. Ryan Leaf got a second job.
Okay. All right.
Mitchell Trubisky is still in the league.
Moving on. If we're not going to get into the political reasons why Colin Kaepernick was blackballed from the league, because that is an entirely different podcast episode, and we're already over time. So let's just cut to the chase. You got the Broncos in this
episode talking about the differences between white NFL players and black NFL players in a white-owned NFL. The name we're still working on, but it's going to kind of be that concept.
It's just going to be Skip and Shannon? Is that what we're doing? We're just undisputed too? Still disputed?
I am not sure that Skip and Shannon can independently identify black and white people.
Shannon wears glasses. So I think you figured it out.
All right, we do have to move on. This is Steelers, Raiders. Sean, I'm gonna let you do your Raiders. All I have to say is that 3-2 is way different than 4-1, and we might see Russell Wilson.
I don't think we're going to see Russell Wilson. I think that the Steelers right now feel pretty confident, and I think that playing against the Raiders this week, they don't feel that there's a fire lit underneath them that they need to make a switch at QB. I think that Justin Fields is doing just fine. He's still not making a ton of mistakes. At the end of the day, they had a chance to win this game. They should have won the game. If at any given Sunday.
Steelers -3. How do you feel about that as a Raiders fan? Is that about right? 6-point underdogs at home.
It's about right. It's right now you're about to lose arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game. He wants to be traded. So there's no way that the play there is going to be tight knit. Those guys are just
playing anyway.
It doesn't matter. The distraction in the locker room. A guy who's an offensive leader, regardless of whether or not he's playing or not, is going to have an impact on the mindset of the quarterback, the mindset of the other receivers, the mindset of the offensive line. The guys who are protecting the quarterback, if they think that he's not going to throw the fucking ball to where they need him to go, then what's that say? The other receivers, are they going to run their routes crisply? What does that say?
So there's a lot of talk about Antonio Pierce being a player's coach, being so closely removed from being a player himself. Is this an indictment of the coaching staff? Is the fact that Adams doesn't even want to be there?
No.
Is that an indictment of Antonio Pierce?
No, I think it's an indictment of the organization and the poor decisions that they've made. and picking previous coaches to the point where now they're stuck, right? Antonio Pierce did not get to pick Aiden O'Connell or Mitchell Trubisky. He didn't get to pick either one of those guys, right? It was sorry, not Trubisky. What's his name? Gardner Minshew. But if you take a guy who left an organization that's pretty well run in Green Bay and move him to a toxic environment, but at least he had a quarterback that he knew, that he felt comfortable with, his bestie, and he had a great season. He did. And then you get rid of that quarterback all because you pick a shitty coach that now you are setback. You have setbacks for years.
So you're back out. You're out on Antonio Pierce.
I am no. Pierce is not responsible for.
Oh, you're blaming the previous.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels is responsible for this collapse. Let's be real. Gruden built it up, and McDaniels ruined it immediately. Gruden built it the fuck up, and McDaniels ruined it immediately. So my frustration right now is with that. Mark Davis, you made a terrible fucking choice in picking the wrong McDaniels. I would have taken the other McDaniels any day of the fucking week, but you picked the wrong McDaniels, and now we're paying for it because the toxicity is spread throughout the organization. With that being said,
Josh McDaniels would have a hard time in Vegas. That boy went from like the stat nerd to a drug kingpin in Miami. Can you imagine him in Las Vegas? He'd have the cutoff hoodie. He'd have like Guy Fieri hair. He would have had a quarterback who you think is a very capable quarterback right now, throwing to his favorite receiver behind one of the better offensive linemen in Colton Miller, and still probably had Josh Jacobs back there. So Raiders +3?
I can't say Raiders +3. I take the Steelers -3. Their organization is in significantly less turmoil. Even though it's a home game for the Raiders, I just don't see it being a win. If they win, I'm hoping for a win, but I just don't see it. There's just too much chaos going on right now. The run game looks terrible. Zamir White is garbage. I don't know where the fuck he came from, but he's absolute dog trash. Not a good running back. And if you have no running back and no one is scared of you running, then you just blitz the shit out of them all day long. That's exactly what you do. You stack the box and you blitz the fuck out of them because they did not invest as heavily in the offensive line as they had in years past, and including injuries is just not a good look. Then you got Gardner Minshew down there. Well, I mean, he got benched for Aiden O'Connell, but you got Gardner Minshew was back there just kind of scrambling around, hoping to not get hit. Aiden O'Connell's the same fucking guy. At least that's what I'm seeing. Hopefully I get something different from him. Maybe they game plan a little bit different, but I went to their practice earlier this year during preseason, and they looked the same. So, Aiden O. Minshew, Gardner Collin, whatever the hell you want to call him at this point, doesn't seem like the quarterback for me. I'm still holding out.
By the way, he is from the trash heap via Georgia, via North Carolina.
Just a waste. Just a waste of a position. At the end of the day, there's other guys out there who we should be picking up as running backs. And I'll take one more. My last thing is, I think that at the end of the day, the Raiders organization is going to need some significant changes in order for them to be a contender again. They are right now the fourth team in that division, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So,
Bo Nix.
Shut your goddamn mouth.
All right. Who has more passing yards? Andy Dalton for the Panthers or Matt Ryan right now for the Falcons?
You mean like overall pass yards?
Like if they play on Sunday,
season?
Who has more passing yards? Andy Dalton for the Panthers or Matt Ryan for the Falcons?
Why Andy Dalton? What the fuck?
Really?
Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
Matt Ryan?
Yeah, you just plug him in. You plug him in on Sunday. Who has more passing yards?
Oh, God. I'm done. Look.
Really? I don't think it's that crazy of a question.
Kirk Cousins just threw for 509 passing yards.
That's what I'm saying. So who has more passing yards? Andy Dalton or Matt Ryan in this game?
In this game right now, if you swapped them out.
Yeah, you just plug them in. Who has more passing yards?
That's a tough one.
I think it's
probably Matt Ryan.
And you know what?
Oh, because he's playing against his own team. Obviously, he knows the.
ends.
Well, to be fair, he obviously is gonna know. He knows the scheme a lot better. Andy Dalton doesn't know shit about the Falcons scheme. So Matt Ryan coming and knowing the Falcons scheme is gonna help him pick it apart. He knows exactly every offensive. He knows the offensive plays. He knows, he knows the system. He knows their overall system. So I think that it would be. That's the only reason why I'm like, yeah, no, it should be Matt Ryan. But I mean, realistically, it should be Andy Dalton.
To ask about a game I don't give a shit about. Do you care about this game?
It's a Falcons win. Like, let's just be honest. Bijan's gonna run all over them, and that's after they've already thrown for 3 touchdown passes.
I have Kyle Pitts scoring in this game.
He should fucking score. I'm tired of him being.
He would if it was Matt Ryan. I'll tell you that much.
He sure would, because Ryan respected them tight ends. But I digress. I think. Do you have Chuba over 100 yards?
Total or rushing?
Rushing. Chuba over 100 rushing.
Give me Chubby Hubby for under 99.5.
Okay. I'll take that. Throw it in the chat.
Lions and Cowboys. Lions 3-point favorite.
Should be the game of the week, but the Cowboys' defense particularly has been depleted. They've snuck away with 2 wins in the last couple weeks that they shouldn't have. Realistically, they played against not so potent and not as potent Giants offense. And then, at the end of the day, the Cowboys should be a better team. Right? They played against a soft Steelers offense who really doesn't put up a bunch of numbers, not the points. That's not really their game. Their game is not making mistakes. And they played against a soft Giants offense who, again, their bread and butter isn't really putting up a bunch of points. So I am all for Detroit picking apart the Cowboys defense. You've got injuries on the line. You've got injuries in the secondary. You've got Dak isn't playing terribly. He's not playing terribly. But it's not what they saw in the previous season, which is the reason why he got that contract. That contract was based on how he played last season, and I'm not seeing that repeat in this year.
All right, here's what I want to do. There's 32 teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you rank the Browns?
Bottom 10.
Okay. The Cowboys scored 33 points against a bottom 10 NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
And then they scored 19, 25, 20 against the Giants, 20 against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
This Cowboys team is horrifically bad for the talent and the money that has been paid here. They need help at running back.
So much money.
But they chose not to address running back. So that is not like let's feel bad for the Cowboys thing. That is Jerry Jones decided they were good at running back. They scored 33 points against an atrocious team.
Yeah, in the Browns.
And have not really scored since. This team is bad. Dak is bad. CeeDee Lamb is uninspired. He does run good routes. I'll give him that. He's not going to win the hand fight with a 5'10" cornerback. This team sucks, and Cowboys fans should be embarrassed to cheer for this team. As someone who grew up in Chicago with a Bears team that has been an atrocity against God for 40 years, this Cowboys team might be worse. This is unacceptable in a weak division. This is unacceptable from the most valuable franchise in the NFL. This is unacceptable from the most paid quarterback and wide receiver tandem, and 2 players in NFL history. This Cowboys team is awful. The defense has been a bright spot. You have held the Giants and the Steelers to 16 points in 2 games. That's good. They have good quarterbacks. So the Cowboys defense is really something to write home about. This team sucks. And if you're a Cowboys fan, I really question your football IQ and your ability to function on a day-to-day basis. I would love to lay 3 points with the Lions, and I would love to never talk about the Cowboys again.
Well, honestly, I can't agree with that. And I'm going to disagree with a couple of points. One, I have to talk about the Cowboys because you got to talk about how terrible they are so that people understand that don't let that 90s glitz and glamour fool you, bro. That was 30 years ago. All right? They've been washed for a long time. A very, very long time. They haven't done anything. But more importantly, I am not a fan at all of the Cowboys. They suck. They just do. I will say this. Dak Prescott's got 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. So, not playing great, not playing terrible. I mean, he's had one game where his QBR was over 100.
Numbers.
He's got 2 games. He got 3 games with a QBR over 90. Sorry, not QBR, with a passer rating over 90, with one at over 125, and that was the game against the Giants. So he basically had to be almost as good as he could possibly be to beat the Giants in a 20-15 game. With that being said, I think that they thought that they were going to rely on Zeke in that rush offense, and it is not a thing. So now they're transitioning over to Dowdle, and he did have a solid game. He didn't do great, but he had a solid game. And I think that they can utilize him more now, understanding that they're done with Zeke and they should just move on from him. But I just see Pittsburgh's defense as being Pittsburgh's defense is a good defense, and the Cowboys barely got away with that win. And Detroit's defense is good, but their offense is so much more potent than the teams that the Cowboys have played against this year. And I think they're just going to get outclassed. They're just going to get outclassed. Goff's not going to make mistakes. The Gibbs and what's his name are going to run, and they're going to do the thing.
Total in this game is 52.5. If the Lions have 90% of that, I wouldn't be shocked.
I got the Lions
38-13 feels reasonable.
I got the Giants over. I got the Giants. I got Detroit putting up over 30 points with like a 15-20 point differential. So yeah, see that.
Sunday Night Football. Speaking of great teams, Cincinnati Bengals, New York Giants. This is one where you go to dinner. You just go to dinner. You don't have to watch this crap. Bengals are better than they've looked. The Giants are the Giants, and I'm not sure that this is actually a get right game for the Bengals. This is like 19-17. Bengals win on a late kick kind of crap.
I'm going to go the other way on this one. I think that this needs to be a get-right game for the Bengals. I think they're playing against a soft, or realistically a Giants team that just doesn't have it all together. I think that the Bengals have put up so many points, this season, and to not get the wins has really been frustrating for them. I mean, how many times can you lose and score 30, 35 points? Like, how is that possible? In their losses.
Let me count the ways. 1, 2.
Here, the caveat for the Bengals is that since week 1, they've scored no less than 25 points. And in their losses, they've lost by 6 points or less. And the whole season. So every one of their games is a one-score game, but they've lost them. They've lost all the one-score games.
Lost to the Patriots at home.
They did.
They lost to Patrick Mahomes, which is acceptable. They lost to a rookie quarterback at home. They beat a really, really bad Panthers team. And then they shit the bed against the Ravens team that had no business coming back.
So many mistakes. I will say this, though.
You start to hold the players accountable for not showing up.
I'm going to say their defense is the problem. Their defense is absolutely atrocious.
They're averaging 32 points a game.
Yeah, but giving up 35.
Defense. but if you're a leader, right? If you're Joe Burrow, who's supposed to be this next generation of leader quarterback and paid out the ass, and he's elite, you need to hold your defense accountable. And if
I agree with that,
can't. What does that say about where this team is and where this team's going to go? You got the Giants, you got the Browns, you got the Eagles, you have a game against the Raiders, and then you go play the Ravens. I mean, there's no breaks in this schedule until you play the Titans and the Broncos at the end of the year.
You know what the problem is, right? They're missing one guy on that defense.
I don't know. I don't know.
Vontaze Burfict. That's who they're missing. That's who they're missing. You know what that guy did? He was nuts, but his energy level was one of somebody that they could feed off of. When they had their best seasons, Vontaze Burfict was that guy who, even though he was nuts, he's a guy who absolutely just you fed off the energy from him. He's an Ndamukong
probably available.
I mean, they need somebody else on that defense. Good lord, are they terrible?
Oh God, I didn't realize he played at ASU. One of the dirtiest players of all time.
You're not wrong. But people say the same thing about Ndamukong Suh. But guess what? If you want a guy to anchor your defense, and he's available, I'm fucking picking Ndamukong Suh. So I mean, you say what you will. Some guys, the energy level that they have on defense, the ferociousness, the craziness that you have to take with that. That's a guy. Like right now, I can't. I mean, Trey Hendrickson's the only guy.
He could probably still ball. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he can ball just as good as any of these other guys on defense. With the exception of
on a defense is giving up 30 points a game. Like
I'll take him. I'll take it any day.
Make him the defensive coordinator.
For context, nah, he's too nuts. For context, though, they have 3 defensive players on IR. Granted, those guys are third stringers. So. Get rid of some, move these. Bring in some guys to hit that.
Their defensive coordinator is 60 years old. You know what his last job was? The friggin' Giants. Out of here. Just put in anybody. Screw this guy. He was a running backs coach at Wagner in 1989. He's the defensive coordinator for the Bengals. Out of here.
Yeah. Also, McPherson's got to make his kicks.
I think I found the problem. Oh yeah, kickers and old defensive coaches. I get behind that all the time.
Got to make game-winning kicks. Sorry, kid.
All right, Monday Night Football. Bills, Jets. Robert Saleh fired from the New York Jets. Sean, I have a question for you. If you have 53 to 60 elite level NFL athletes.
Okay.
Do you need a coach who is bald as shit to be your head coach? I'm getting thin, Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh doesn't matter. Robert Saleh is an accessory. Robert Saleh was never going to develop any players. And Jason, our buddy Jason, I'll tell you this. He was never going to develop any players. He had a good scheme. You know what we call coaches with a good scheme? Coordinators. Robert Saleh leaving doesn't change the Jets season at all. Whatever the Jets are, and we can argue about what the Jets are, but whatever the Jets are, they are. And Robert Saleh leaving doesn't matter. Having said that, Bill Belichick, Jets head coach, 2025.
Belichick's not coming back to coach that fucking disaster.
How much money?
It's not like
how much money would it take?
And it's not like $100 million.
He might.
It's no point. They can't do that. They don't have the money for that.
It's not salary cap related. That's like a business expenditure.
Then maybe
that's fake money. Yeah, that's made up money. That's not football money. You just hire a head coach.
Look, Breece Hall's not doing anything that we expected him to do this year, to the point where people are like, Braylon Allen seems like a good dude. Why don't we get him in there?
Bro,
meanwhile, Breece Hall was supposed to be that guy.
You know where he went to school? You know where Braylon Allen went to college?
Where'd he go?
Wisconsin, baby.
Of course he did.
Two of the best two running backs in the NFL are Wisconsin running backs. Jonathan Taylor back, Braylon Allen, 1A, 1B. Wisconsin. You know who number 2 is?
Who's number 2?
Agumbawale. You know where he went to school? Fucking Wisconsin, baby. There's only one player in the NFL. There's a position player with an extra point. Agumbawale, Wisconsin, baby. We are the best NFL factory in college football. Georgia who?
Well, right now, while Rick is tooting his own horn. Yeah, I also would agree with that. I also agree with the Bills doing their damn thing. Literally, at the end of the day, the receiver core is solid enough. Realistically, the receiver core is solid enough for the Jets to be more potent offense. They just can't get it together. And then their defense just underperforms. I mean, at the end of the day, again, they have the talent on defense, but they just don't put it together. They don't execute. And I think that's the reason why Salah's is gone. Salah's gone because they have the talent and they can't put together wins. So if your problem is that you've got the talent, you got to bring in a guy who's got a better scheme. Clearly, the problem is his scheme wasn't good.
We had a long conversation about it today in the group chat for the Fantasy Stack. I think for me, boiling all that down, what it comes down to is that Aaron Rodgers is a cancer. Everywhere Aaron Rodgers goes, he sows discord and just he is not the kind of guy I would want to build a team around. Elite quarterback.
At this point in his career, that makes sense. I agree.
The way Salah was unceremoniously walked out,
yes, that's crazy.
Was a lot like Mike McCarthy. And you know what happened in the aftermath of both of those things? Well, of the Packers thing. Packers sucked. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers sucked.
And he left.
So I think for the Jets, like I said, like the Jets are who the Jets are going to be. This team's DNA is already set. Firing Salah now doesn't make a difference. Week-to-week head coaching, like game day head coaching in the NFL is really not that complicated. The roster's already set. The system's already in place. So from a week-to-week coaching standpoint, there's really not going to be any changes here. This is the fire under the players.
I don't know. This is where I have some disagreements with you, Rick, because I'm looking back, and besides the San Francisco game and the Patriots game, which they won the Patriots game, but they lost the San Francisco game. Every other game for them has been decided by one score. Well, a 1-point loss to the Broncos, a 6-point loss to Minnesota, and obviously the Tennessee win. But like, when you talk about
blown out is scheme, losing by one score is discipline.
Oh, I disagree with that. I think getting blown out is absolutely scheme, but losing by one score can be a multitude of factors. And I think one of the biggest factors is coaching. Losing by one score in a situation based on play calls in a very specific situation. It could also be individual player responsibilities. We obviously, kickers missing kicks. Obviously the McPherson kick was an issue with the hold. Things like that occur. And that's one thing. But if you're talking about a one-score game, people are always going to look back to that one play, that one thing that happened. But guess what? You had instances throughout that game in order to get more points, in order to put more points on the and you got to make the right play calls in the right time.
The guy they made the interim head coach is the DC, defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll just boil that down super simplistic for me. It means the defense is not a problem.
Okay.
Robert Saleh is not calling the plays. Robert Saleh is a figurehead. Aaron Rodgers is calling the plays. And we know that because he overrides coaches' calls and has talked publicly about it for the last 10 years of his career. Aaron Rodgers, again, I'll say this again, Aaron Rodgers is a cancer. Robert Saleh leaving doesn't fix the offense. That's why I'll say again, this offense is what it is. The Jets are what they are. The DNA is locked in place. If the organization as a whole, if we assume that the organization is infallible, which we know is not true, but if the defensive coordinator is the new head coach, the defense is not the problem. It's an offensive issue. And Saleh was not calling the offense. Aaron Rodgers was and is.
So then Rodgers is the problem.
Team is not going to. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, This Jets team is not going to change. This Jets team is going to score 45 points and win a game, and then they're going to turn around and lose to the friggin' Patriots. Like, this Jets team is bad in a year where the division is really bad. This should have been the
Easy money
Jets
for them.
shot, right? Like they have a
Yeah.
closing window. You have a quarterback who's old as shit and spends his offseason hiding in a cave. Like there's only so many years you have left. And in a year where Josh Allen's having a hard time, the Bills' defense sucks, and Tua is bleeding from the ears somewhere.
Lamar isn't having a stellar performance. Jalen Hurts isn't having.
I mean that's conference.
I'm
I'm
naming
just
everybody.
saying
Yeah.
division.
I just mean just
saying
division. Yeah.
division. I mean the Patriots aren't going to do it. Like this was if you could script a season for the Jets, this is it. So to not be able to capitalize on that and to fire your head coach and pretend like he was the problem, that speaks to me to more issues. And we've seen those issues manifest themselves in the Packers. There's one common thread. It's the quarterback. It's this cancer of a quarterback. The Jets are not going to win this year. The Jets might not be 500 this year. Aaron Rodgers is going to get a starting job. I don't know the contract situation necessarily. Robert Saleh is not the problem.
No, he's not the problem. Here's the funny thing, though. In that division, even under 500, Jets will probably win the division.
That's so disgusting, but you have a point. You have a point. So, gun to your head, where's Aaron Rodgers playing football next year? I'm looking up right now to see what his contract situation is.
Tennessee.
Ew.
He's got a couple more years left.
Well, it won't be all the NFL contracts. If you're interested in weird shit, NFL contracts are fascinating. He won't be a Jet next year. The last 4 years of his contract are all voidable and will be. They'll all be voided. So he won't be a Jet next year. But he'll still be an NFL quarterback.
Well, he could retire.
Well, why would you when you could get $14 million to suck?
Because he keeps getting hit. Eventually, you want to stop getting hit when you're 40-something years old. Just saying.
Yeah. For me, it Bills in this game by a wide margin. I think the Jets are going to spiral. They got their key players are young kids. I don't think they have the leadership in place to hold this team together. I think it's going to death spiral. I think it's going to be bad.
I see this as a 10-point win for the Bills. I don't think it's going to be too much of a blowout. I think that switching to the DC is going to invigorate the defense and keep them. The defense hasn't been giving up a ton of points. Realistically, it comes down to the offense not scoring. You know, a 10-9 game, 17-23, 17-24. Like they're not giving up 30 points a game. They're just not scoring enough. So you're absolutely correct in your analysis of the fact that their offense is not potent and that Saleh's not calling the plays, and so that's really not the big deal. But they still gotta score point. They still gotta score points in order to win games. So I think that the Bills going to win this game, and I think it'll be probably about a 10-point margin.
Maybe we'll do an emergency press conference with our good friend Jersey Jason. talk some Jets.
Hell yeah!
Hey, NFL Week 6, Chiefs, Vikings, Dolphins, Rams on bye. We know we went long. We know we started late. Apologies for that. But I did hear today, Sean, that some people like long format podcasts to listen to at work. So
here's an episode for you.
Shout out to Justin.
Love it.
Hey, this has been Yelling and Screaming. I am at King of Lakemore everywhere you can find me, and I am a Cowboys hater.
I am at KS Flash on all socials, and I too hate the Cowboys. I got something for you guys. Last statement to tell you how much I hate the Cowboys. My brothers are Cowboys fans, and my parents are Eagles fans. And to buy gifts for them for their birthdays, you know what I chose? I chose Cowboys oven mitts. You want to know why I chose Cowboys oven mitts? Because the only thing you can do is ruin it. An oven mitt just gets burned, it gets stained, it gets destroyed. So every time my brothers look at the food that they cook and pick up those pots and destroy that glove, they get to think of me, and I get to think of that. So yeah, a little devious.
Yep.
Have Have a great Tuesday, y'all.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you guys. Have a great Tuesday night.
Take care.
Peace out.